So let me just say this, okay? The most frequent, so this is why I'm going to number it number 1. The most frequent way or meaning of using a verb in the nifal stem is to make the meaning of the cal passive, okay? If a verb has a meaning in the cal that's active and transitive, that is to say, if I can take a direct object with it, then I could see it used in the nifal with passive semantics. Okay? Think, for example, John ate rice. Okay? I could use the cal form of the verb akal, to eat, for that. If I want to then make this passive, rice was eaten, okay, what would I do? I would use the nifal of that verb, to eat. Okay, rice was eaten. So that is by and large the most common way to see the nifal used. It's to take a verb that exists in the cal with active and transitive use or force, and then to make it passive in meaning. Now, that is not the only use, though, of the nifal stem. There are some other ones as well. So we could see the nifal used for reflexive and reciprocal meaning. Okay? So let's take a look at a couple of possibilities here. Okay, so makar, cal perfect 3ms, he sold. Nimkar, that's a nifal perfect 3ms. There's actually a couple of possibilities, okay? Could this be passive? Just merely a passive idea? The answer is yes. So I could translate this as he was sold, right? If the context were clear enough, I could say something like Yosef nimkar. Joseph was sold, right? Because he didn't sell himself. Someone else sold him. But the nifal, nimkar, could also be reflexive instead of passive. And then it could be something like, he sold himself. Okay? If, for example, I'm talking about the evil of some king who sold himself to do evil, I could use the nifal for that. Nimkar. Okay? So you see how that works? That's the reflexive idea. The reciprocal idea, well, here, let me just make sure we're clear on this. If something's reflexive, that means that the subject acts upon himself. Okay? When we have reciprocal idea, then the idea is always that there are plural subjects. Don't act on themselves, but act on one another. Okay? Somehow they affect one another through their reciprocal action. So we have the verbs ra'u, which is the cal perfect 3 CP. Okay? This is they saw in the cal. They saw. We could make this nifal perfect 3 CP. That would be near u. And just so you know, this is an irregular verb, so it doesn't look exactly like what you're expecting because my nifal noon prefix is here, my shurik is here, but I only have 2 root letters. Most of my verbs have 3, okay? So this is weak in that way, but it doesn't matter. The idea is still the same. If this is reciprocal, it's they saw, and it's not they saw themselves like they stared at at their body parts. It's that one of them saw the other one and that one saw the first one. Okay? So this is they saw one another, or they saw each other, depending on how many people we're talking about, right? Each other means 2 people, and one another in English is supposed to be more than 2 people. Okay, so anyhow, the nifal is used for reciprocal action as well. Okay? Near u could also be they were seen. It could have just merely passive meaning. And again, you need to know what your context is to know what's the best way to translate it. All right. And then there is a third sort of catch-all category, okay? And the third catch-all category is basically unpredictable. All right? That is to say, you could have a meaning of a verb in the nifal where the meaning doesn't have any clear passive, reflexive, or reciprocal meaning. It just happens to have a particular meaning in the nifal. Many times, there'll be a verb that you'll run across that doesn't have any cal form at all. It's never used in the cal stem, but it's used in the nifal stem. And it'll have a particular meaning in the nifal stem. And so, when that happens, how are you going to know what it means? Well, you have to look at your lexical entry. You have to look at your lexicon, or you have to look at your vocabulary lists and find out what does that verb mean in the nifal stem. Okay? So one of the examples that Ross gives us is the verb lacham. Okay, so this is lamed chet mem. The nifal is nil cham. That's nifal perfect. And this means he fought. Okay, that is just what the nifal of lacham means. He fought. Does that have any passive meaning to you? Is he being passive here? He fought. No. Nothing passive about this. There's nothing reflexive about it. This is just what the nifal of lacham means. Okay, to fight. To fight, to engage in battle. Okay? Here's another one. The verb aman, from which we get the word amen. Okay? The nifal perfect is ne, man. Don't worry about the guttural here. This is a weak verb because it's guttural in root 1 position. So it is irregular. We're going to learn more about this in chapters 32 and 33. But in the nifal, it has a meaning. He was faithful. Okay? That is to say, the nifal meaning of aman is to be faithful. To be faithful. We don't see the verb aman used in the cal. It's used in the nifal with the meaning of being faithful. Okay? So he was faithful. He was faithful. All right. So you just have to learn what these verbs can mean in the nifal. Some of them. All right. Well, I'll stop there with the explanation of the chapter.